Hello, everybody. I am here to present some information about a business I chose to research and to find out more about their management style and how they specifically manage during market downturns and recessions. The company I chose was Trump, not to be confused with Trump. Um, they have an F at the end after the P. They work primarily in um, industrial equipment. The Trump Group was founded in 1923. It's a German company based in Germany. The primary product in 1923 when they first started was hand tools, powered hand tools, such as shears. They were really well known for metal shear cutting hand tools. As the company grew, they started to get into other equipment and other automated and power equipment. After World War II, Trump did not suffer like many of the other companies throughout Germany, because obviously the German economy, actually the whole world's economy for the most part, other than the two superpowers, they most companies suffered, and Trump was one of the exceptions that came out actually ahead after World War II. Now, more about Trump. Trump now to this day offers lasers, brake presses, punch machines, automated welders, robots that is used in the automotive business, and then some medical equipment. So they're kind of all over the manufacturing spectrum. They're one of the largest exporters for Germany, and in 2008 they outbeat China for exporting out of their country. So that's pretty astounding. Trump also provides training, a great customer service team that I work with often, and then technical support, like service techs that come in and work on your equipment that you've bought. So they have a really good, strong relationship with their customers, which I will talk more about how that I think that carries through with their atmosphere of how they manage as well. Trump has shown steady growth for a long time and rarely has to lay anyone off. To date, the company currently employs over 11,000 employees at 70 different locations throughout the United States, and that's different. Actually, it's throughout the world. Working at Trump, one of the things that I've read and researched was that very often you're part of a family, and that you start a job there when you're young or right out of high school. If you do a vocational program with them, you're most likely going to be offered a job at the end of that. So they invest into their employees, and they want to keep them as long as possible. And so the turnover is negligible. During slow times, the company spends a lot of money in R&D, which kind of got me interested in them because I heard the same thing when I was actually there doing some training myself. So that's primarily why I specifically was really interested in Trump. During the lean times, like in 2008, the company only had 8,000 employees at the time of the market crash, and they had to contemplate their first layoff in 20 years. The previous layoff was in the 90s during the recession, after during the Bush administration, and at that time they had 3,100 employees, and they had to lay off nearly 15% of their employees at the time. Due to their family culture, I think this weighed heavily on their upper management and their executive staff. So from there on out, they've really pushed and did their best not to have any layoffs. So they did a few things different after that, but during that time, even in 1990s, they spent a little bit of time and money on R&D. By investing in R&D, Trump was ahead of the game, though, when the market upturned and their sales started to come back in, and when the recession was over, Trump actually, because of their R&D in the 90s, they were the first to introduce a compact laser. And when I say compact, I don't mean like tiny, small. It's still very large, but at that time, lasers used to be very, very, very big, and it took many mirrors and lots of different equipment to make it work. So it was kind of like the old computers. It was huge, one room type of deal. Well, Trump was able to make lasers much smaller so that they could be used in a factory type of environment without making such a big footprint. So that's why I think that they're a very successful company. One of the reasons they're a very successful company. During 2008 recession, again, downturn, they did everything they could to keep their employees from being laid off, but they also did a lot to invest in their company because they are privately owned. So during the 2008, they also invested in R&D, and they were able to, again, kind of get ahead of the market and was able to get a fiber laser, one of the first companies to have a fiber laser, which uses fiber optics instead of gas. So it's a much more powerful laser, quicker laser. It does a lot of great things that the older lasers couldn't do, and again makes a smaller footprint than even the compact laser they made in the 90s. But they also, during this 2008, they also was able to offer called Time Bank, and something I hadn't heard of before. Time Bank is something that several companies around the world uses, and they have introduced to help employees kind of manage their finances and maintain a healthy check even when they're slow. So basically how it works is during these times, employee could draw upon time that they banked by doing overtime when they were busy for free. So they aren't really doing it for free, they just aren't getting paid that extra time. So let's say whatever company I work at right now, let's say they have a bunch of overtime. We're doing great, sales are great. Instead of getting paid that extra overtime, even though I'm working maybe 50 or 60 hours a week, I'm still getting a 40-hour check. Now those extra 20 or 10 hours a week would be banked. So during that bank time, that would all build up and save up until, let's say, my company always slow in the winter. So I could build up a bunch of hours and then use that banked hours to level load my paycheck throughout the whole year. So I wouldn't have these really high spikes of tons of overtime, high paychecks, and then boom, I'm down to only a couple hours a week or a couple days a week, kind of thing. So I could level load my paycheck throughout the year and be able to kind of maintain a good level. And it's also a security thing. If you're not sure how your company does, it's kind of makes you feel good that you could always have something there if your company for some reason isn't doing good. So it's a pretty neat thing. Both have pros and cons. I'd assume that the company would have to, really keep track of that, how many hours someone's banked up, and then also they're gonna always have to have that money on hand. I would assume they couldn't just lay someone off if they had banked hours. I think there'd have to be some sort of severance package or something along those lines. But it is an interesting thing, and I think it's a neat thing that they offer their employees. A little bit more about 2008 recession. During the 2008 recession, the company was very, very close to laying off people. The Wall Street Journal asked the question, could they continue to keep this family approach? And they even kind of, is this family approach good? They asked that question as well. I personally believe that it is good and it inspires a loyal workforce. I think that could be seen in their turnover rate. And then I think it just, really makes it so the company feels, the employee feels secure with the company and knows that the company has its back. So it makes them want to work harder for them. And then my last final word about Trump. Trump and their family approach has kept them in business since 1923s, or actually 1930s, 1920s. So I think they're doing the right things. Trump's sales have continued to increase despite Wall Street Journal's kind of balking them. I think their sales and their employee growth has continued to change or continue to grow every year. not by a little bit, by thousands each year. And then they continue to innovate. They continue to have new equipment, and they continue to lead, in my mind, lead that market. And also, last but not least, their service, their support, kind of shares their philosophy, like I was saying earlier. It not only they treat their customers like they're part of that family. If you buy their equipment, you know you're going to have someone on the line to answer your questions almost night and day. So I think Trumpf is a solid company with good growth, and I think that their culture and their management profile of a family type atmosphere is innovative, and I think will continue to grow in their market. Um, that's pretty much all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and thank you.